Hello everyone and welcome back to Don't Look Back, and we are finally up to the last scenario in the core rulebook, which is scenario 5, Well in the Woods, which is an investigate and banish mission type that I have set up on the table here. Here's the lore for it. Your friends have convinced you to make a wish at the Midnight Well, although we're going to be using the Midnight Pond, so just interchange that. Making the wish was easy, living to see if it comes true is another thing altogether. So I have the table set up. There is 3 fright tokens. It says to start them in the middle of the map, but then in the picture of the map in the book, it has them positioned as I have done, in kind of like an L shape here, right on the tippy top corners of the 4 table sections, because it's table section A, B, C, and D down here. So I've done that. There is some special rules to cover. The game will last a maximum of 12 turns. We'll take a look at the themed killer in a second. But starting from turn 2 and for the rest of the game, in the fright phase, a new fright token appears in the middle of table section A, which is where the well/pond is, because that's where we need to go and get back to. A supporting character can be added to the centre of the table at turn 8. When a character successfully investigates a point of interest, of which there's 3 in table sections B, C, and D, right in the corners, basically, they may remove a point of terror from themselves. Investigating the point of interest is a -2 awareness roll for all characters. I'll try very hard to remember that. That's ritual components, which is what the investigation points are. When a character successfully investigates a point of interest, place it on their card. It's a ritual component. They need to take it to the pond. Any character in base-to-base with the ritual item and the pond, in base-to-base with the ritual item can pick it up. And the goal is to take them back to the pond to banish the themed killer, which is called the Living Curse. So characters need to finish the ritual, stop the well curse, bring the items back to base with the well before the end of turn 12, and the killer this time is less focused on making them bleed and more focused on scaring them to death. But let's take a look at them. So here is the Living Curse. They are a new type of killer that we haven't seen before, called a Disjointed Killer. They have 8 wounds. If they would be driven off, they immediately get placed according to their MO, which we'll cover in a second. When they move, all characters in line of sight gain 1 terror, which is scary on its own. They have a shudder step, which causes 1 injury, 1 terror, combat roll 14, and then an unnatural crawl, which is them just moving around. So their MO is lunge. They get placed in the away from the most characters as possible without any terrain in between. It targets the character with the most terror, and if he moves into base to base, or she in this case, it may make an immediate attack using attack number 2, which in this case is the unnatural crawl. Traits: relentless and armed and dangerous. When rolling for fright tokens, each turn add +2 to the roll until the killer is on the table, then it's back to normal. In armed and dangerous, the attacks it does do cause bleeding, and bleeding does 1 damage at the start of their turn until another character does the, I've forgotten the name of the long action, but it's an action that heals the bleeding, but I don't think you can administer it yourself. Might be wrong about that. Last thing to cover is which of our intrepid people here get to go on the mission. So I'm just going to look away and shuffle, and I'm just going to take the top 4. So shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. There we go. We have got Alice, we have got Holden, we have got Max and Ranger Sandy. Denise and Seth, thankfully, because there's a lot of movement required in this mission, are going to be sitting this one out. So I'll get them set up where they need to be set up, which is the top corner again as per, and then we'll get started. So here are our band of survivors looking at a dog hair inside a pond/well where they've accidentally made a wish and brought about the resurrection of the Living Curse. They have to start just in base-to-base with the well/pond, so I've just done that. Maybe because it's a little larger, a slight advantage, but honestly this seems really difficult because terror can build up so easily in so many ways. Like the bleeding isn't going to be the issue here, the dying of terror is probably going to be the issue. So they're set up like that, and as always we begin with the fright phase of battle round 1. Let me just give myself a little note to keep track of turn order because that matters. And we're going to start by rolling the d10, and we're +2 to this because the killer isn't on the table. So that is a 10, so it doesn't matter. So the fright tokens do activate. There is currently 3 in the centre of the table, just behind the tree here to your right. You saw them in the setup shot. So we'll need to see if they do anything. Starting with the one that is furthest away. That was off camera, but it was a 6. So it is going to move 6 inches towards the closest target, Joy. Closest target is Max. So it's going to just move like that. I really should learn not to put a tree there, because then you just never see anything. Next one, a 5, that's the same result, 6 inches towards the closest character. Right there. And then, final one. That is a 9. Oh dear. It's here. Immediately conjure the killer and replace the fright token with the killer model. Once placed, move the killer using its target roles under its MO. So we have the killer here. Oops, as I drop a card. So it's appearing from this fright token here. So this fright token is gone. It would want to go towards the person with the most terror. Currently they are all at 0. So let's see what the lunge says if the targeting is a tie. Place the killer... Well, can't do that because it came from a fright token. When the killer moves, it targets the character with the most terror points. If the killer makes it to base, they make a free attack using attack number 2. I guess in this case, since they're all at 0 terror, it would just be closest, which from where she is, I would say is Max. So, yeah, I think so. What am I talking about? You roll a d10 for the killer movement. Oh, I accidentally knocked it and rolled a 10 anyway. So it's definitely going to get into base to base. With poor Alice, I think. Upon measuring, she was slightly closer because of the angle. So it immediately makes an attack with attack number 2 against Alice. We're not off to a good start. Disjointed Killer moves 3 inches directly away from models in base to base. If there's no models in base to base, just Disjointed Killer moves 3 towards the closest. So it actually just kind of creeps up, makes its presence known, and then kind of creeps away again, because it doesn't care about bleeding again. The goal here is to scare them to death. Okay, so the killer is here, which means we have a killer phase. The last part of the fright phase, there's nothing else to do. Generate fright tokens? Nope, because there's still some. So we've already placed the killer. It's going to move again, except this time it will attack. 4 inches, good enough. Right back in there. None of them were looking at it, so they didn't see it move, so no fright from that. And then it will make attack 1 plus attack 2. Combat 14. That is a 7, and now I need to double check if it's higher or lower because I keep forgetting. Yeah, it's equal to or lower, so Alice now has 1 bleed, 1 terror, well sorry, 1 health damage, 1 terror, and she is also bleeding, which is bad because she hasn't even had a turn yet. So that's just peachy, because that means when her turn activates she's getting another point of damage, and then it's going to unnaturally crawl away again, 3, so it's just kind of like teleporting in, clawing, teleporting away, and you hear the bones cracking as it moves. Last part of the killer phase is flipping light tokens. There's no light tokens on the map, so now we go to the character phase and we need to run away. So here's the problem: characters activate within 4 inches of fright tokens generate terror, so that means Alice and Max are immediately going to get 2 more when they get their turn. Can't not give them a turn. I need to make sure everyone's not facing the killer as well. Holden's going to run because I want him to go up to the table section B, which is behind the building. You can just see at the top of your screen there is one of the investigation tokens up there. I feel like he can handle himself because he can cancel frights, jump scares rather, once per turn, and he has no terror at the beginning of his turn, so he can safely double move without the fear of tripping. So he is just going to run his 8. Oop, as I kicked the camera. I tried so hard not to, I'm sorry. And he's going to face away. He would normally jump scare for those big trees because I treat those as jump scares, but he has an ability where once per turn he can ignore a jump scare, which he's going to do. The other safe move for the turn is Ranger Sandy down here, because she can just... actually, is she within 4? No, she is not within 4. So she can safely get out of there. So she's going to double move. Does she move 4 as well? Yes. I think she's going to go for the south one, so I'm going to have her run down here just off camera. She is going to be within 2 of a tree, so she is going to have to roll a jump scare. Although it might turn out for the best if she gets the one where someone teleports down to them. Jump scare table. I need that handy. I really wish I really should print off the quick reference at the back of this. Let's see. Jump scare. D10. That would be a 7. The character gains 1 terror. That's the worst. This is the worst possible mission to be getting random terror generation. That's awful. Oh, okay. Well, now I need to decide what order I activate Max and Alice. They have to activate. They're both definitely getting 1 terror each for the terror points. I'm just going to put that on their cards now while I'm remembering. They need to get down to the bottom end of the table off to your right. I want them to do it because they can, like, Max can pull Alice towards him and then Alice has the best movement. Okay, I'm going to think it through. Alright, I've tried to fandangle it to see if I could move Max in a direction where when he uses his baby blue ability to drag Alice towards him, Alice wouldn't get any terror. It's not going to happen, and I don't think this is the turn where we get rid of Alice's bleeding claw wound. I just don't think it's safe. They need to put some distance between them and the killer. So Max is going first. He does have terror because he... Oh, actually we should have 2 each. I forgot there's 2 terror because there's 2 fear tokens within 4 inches of them. Alice is already up to 3. That's really bad. Okay, so I am going to double move as Max. He's going to just immediately come this way. There's very low chance of him failing his trip check, but let's see. So he has to roll. If he rolls a 1 or a 2, he would fall. It was a 15, so he's fine. Once again, I think all skill checks are on the D20, from what I remember. I always get the D10 rolls and the D20 rolls mixed up, but I think I'm correct this time. He's making use of his baby blue skill. A female model within awareness, his awareness is 10 inches, makes a move action directly towards him once per turn, so Alice is moving 5 inches directly in this direction, but that does not stop her from getting that 2 terror I've already put on her card, but it means she can clear some more distance between her and the killer. Alright, so I know she's behind that building there, but we are going to activate Alice. I've already put the 2 terror on her card, and she is sprinting. She sprints 10 inches. Oh, sorry, she moves 5, but she's going to move 5 twice. I need to check if she'll fall when she initiates her second roll. It is a D20, I went and double checked. She is fine. So she is all the way down, off to your right, behind this building here. Next turn she'll make it to the furthest away point of interest, so that's good. What's bad is that's in a turn 1. None of them are facing the killer, so if it moves, that's not so bad. Although actually, because none of them are facing her, I think she gets replaced using her MO because they can't see her unless it has a rule that says that doesn't happen. I'll need to double check that as we go into round 2. Alright, top of the second turn, a new fright token has emerged from the cursed pond where they threw a penny in to make a wish. And I did double check, and yes, at the start of the killer's turn, if no one can draw a line of sight to it, he, or she in this case, is replaced using their MO. First of all, though, we have to roll for fright tokens. There is no longer a +2 to this because the killer is on the table, so it's a 6+, they do something. That rolled off camera, it is a 6. Alright, the furthest one from anyone is the new one that emerged, so it is doing a... Remove it! Oh no, sorry, yeah, remove token and flip all lights within 6. There's no lights, it's just gone. Next one furthest from characters is this one. That's the same result. That's good. And then the next one, because those generate terror, and we want as little terror as possible. That's a 1. That's the same result again. Did you hear that? Yoink! So there's no fright tokens left on the board now, which means... Oh, actually, I don't know what trumps what in this case, because in this particular scenario, one spawns in the pond at every turn. But there's also the rule where if at the start of a turn there's no fright tokens, one appears in the middle of the map. They might both happen. I'm just going to do it that it spawns from the pond because that's more thematically apt for the killer. Speaking of which, it's the killer's turn. Let me just turn to the killer rules. So yeah, if at the start of the killer's turn no character can draw a line of sight to the killer and is not on base to base with anyone, you place it using its MO. So, place the killer so that it's 6 inches away from the most characters possible and without terrain in between if possible. 6 inches away from the most characters, I guess would just be, honestly it would just be kind of like back here a little bit, like right here. I guess she'd re-emerge from the well, then it moves towards the character with the most terror. Without a doubt that's Alice, so she's moving towards Alice, and she is moving 7. Alice didn't trip, so there's no bonus there, and well, +1 for each point of terror though, so that's 10 inches. Nobody can see her move, so that's not generating any terror. But Max is going to see her in a second, because she's coming all the way down here and is now in front of him, because the ghost is going after Alice. and is now off your screen. So we'll have to move the camera, but we're on to the, there's no lights to flip, so we're on to my second turn, actually activating. And I guess we'll start with the dangerous stuff this time. Alright, Alice is the important one. This is the point of interest I'm trying to get her to, because her movement makes it the easiest to get to. But, well, she can't see the killer, so at least she's not getting any terror from that. She's not near fright tokens because there isn't any, so she can just move. She can move her 5 and then see if she trips. If she doesn't trip, she'll make it into base to base, and then next turn she can check it. So let's see if she would trip. She's got 3 terror. Oh, she's going to take 1 bleed though. Actually, she should have taken 1 bleed last turn as well, so that's her 3rd point of bleed. She does not trip, thankfully. So I can move her 10 inches. And that does get her into base to base with the point of interest, so she can start trying to get it next turn. But yeah, she's got 3 wounds, so ideally Max is going to have to heal her, given the opportunity. You'll have to take my word for it, but Holden is just going to double move to get behind that mansion where there's a point of interest. I'll move the camera hopefully where it can be seen once he gets there. He's just going to cancel the jump scare he'd get as well, but it's very hard to film the angle behind there. But yeah, he's off on his own. He's got a shotgun. He's fine. It's fine that they're all splitting up. When has that ever ended badly for anyone ever? And before we do whatever it is we're doing with Max, Ranger Sandy is going to move towards the point of interest down here in the corner. Double move should make her get to, I think, no, it's only 8. No. Holden needs 1 more turn as well. Another 4-inch move will get him there. Yeah, Ranger Sandy needs another turn as well. She's also going to have to roll for a jump scare. And a D10. 6. Tap on the shoulder. Place the closest standing friendly character or supporting character within 8. There is no one. If there are no characters within 8, the character gains 1 terror instead. That's okay. Oh, sorry, she did have 1 terror on her. So, would she have fallen over? No, she's fine. Alright, I think Max is going to take 1 for the team here, insofar as he is going to double move, but he's going to end such that he's still facing the killer, so the killer doesn't get replaced. So, he's going to move 4, and then he's going to do a trip check. He's got 2 terror. He's fine. That was a 9. So you can double move to move 8 in total towards Alice to hopefully cure her of her horrible bleeding, but he's facing the killer, so the killer will focus down him in the next turn, and that does take us to the end of the second turn. So we're on to turn 3, and a new fright token is going to appear from the pond. Turn 3, the fright token has emerged. Normally if there's only 1 fright token, it automatically becomes a killer. That is not the case if they are on the table, so presumably we just roll as normal. And it is not activating this turn, so it's just chilling, but another one will emerge next turn as well. Now comes the important stuff, because the killer is going to do its thing. So the killer is going to go after the person with the most terror. That is still Alice. But this is the odd thing, it changes once it moves, because this killer generates terror on moving if it's seen when it's moved. So it's going to move D10 towards Alice. But in the act of moving, Max will then become a draw for highest terror. At which point I'm not sure what happens. But either way, let's see how far it's moving. 5, 6, 7, 8 because of the terror on Alice. Max now gets 3 terror total because he watches it fall along the floor. But I presume because that happens after the target is still Alice, so it kind of phases through him. Like that scene from Ghostbusters 2 with the ghost train. And is just there. It can't reach, so I presume that's it done for the turn, other than scaring the living daylights out of Max. Alright, we're going to stay down here. I think I need to go with Alice first. Ideally I need Alice to pass the roll, then walk towards Max. But if I activate her first, she'll bleed. She's not at her terror limit yet, is she? No, she's fright 4 and she's got 3, so she's not getting a debuff beyond the debuff that it's applying for the mission. I'll activate Alice, so she's up to 4 wounds of her 10, which is a little unheard of thanks to that bleed. But she's going to do for her first action a investigate, and she is -2 to her awareness, so it's a 10, so it's a 50-50 chance basically. And she got a 17, and I'm pretty sure it's a roll under situation, but I'm going to double check just so we're absolutely sure. Okay, so you do have to roll equal to or under. However, I did also double check. You don't need to be in base to base to investigate. You can be 2 inches away, so I'm going to move her back a little bit on a successful skill check. She's got 1 luck, and I've remembered that luck is a thing you can use to reroll skill checks. Also, she should have used her megaphone to encourage. Well, actually, she doesn't even need to use her megaphone. She can rah-rah. I don't know if you're allowed to encourage yourself. Let's see if it matters. It doesn't matter because it's under 10 regardless, because that would have countered the -2 for the scenario. So she's picked this up now, and it's on her card, but she's heavily wounded. You can also get rid of 2 terror points with a luck token if you wanted to. So Max might do that. For her other action this turn, oh no, actually she can't do another action this turn because that's a long action. You can only do a long action second. So she's stuck where she is. But Max can use his baby blue skill to say, hey lady, make a move action towards me. Why don't you? So Alice is going to do that and not look at the killer, ideally. She's woefully oblivious, let's say. So that wasn't an action, that's just his skill. So he's going to do the, let me take a look at that, because she's within an inch. I think it's a quick action, so you can do that first. Yeah, it's a quick action. Let me take a look. Remove 2 injuries from a friendly character within 2. More importantly, that stops her bleeding. So she's not bleeding anymore. She's still pretty terrored up. He's going to use one of his luck tokens to get rid of 2 fright, which I also think is not an action. I'm going to quickly check. Luck points, 21. Let's see here. The character may use a luck point to do one of any following. Can only be done once per turn per character. Yeah, he can also heal 2 injuries actually. So he's going to use one of his luck to heal 2 terror. So he's back down to 1. He's got 1 luck left. And he's still got a quick action. And his quick action is going to be... I think he's just going to do another move. Because he can keep on, like, his goal there is to keep dragging Alice towards him with his baby blue skill. They work very well together. Okay, so he's there. He's not within 2 of any of the trees, so no jump scares or the cabin. We've still got Ranger Sandy and Holden though. It is very difficult to get a view of behind the mansion here, but Holden has moved once, so he's within 2 of that investigation. He is not within 2 of the back of the mansion for a jump scare. I'm going to try and roll this on camera at a very awkward angle. He's only awareness 8, which means he's down to a 6 because of the negative applying for this, so he might be here for a while. And it's a 12, so yes, he's not found anything this turn. I also forgot when they successfully pick up one of these investigation tokens, they lose on terror, so Alice has lost another 1 and she's down to 2. Ranger Sandy's down here just having a nice trip in the woods. Is she within 2 of that? Yeah, she is. She's going to do an investigate then to try and find it. Her awareness is normally a 11, so it's 9. I knocked her further away there. That's a fail. Presumably she's allowed to check again, because it's another quick action. Actually, I better double check it's a quick action. Now that I've said that, it sounds wrong. Investigate. Nope, it's a long action. Oh well. Well, in that case, what could she have done before that? She could have caught her breath, I guess, if that's a short action. Nope, that's a long action too. Never mind. There's nothing else she could have done. So she's done for the turn. She might be down there a while. Top of turn 4, another fright token has emerged from the evil well, and now we need to see if they activate on a D10. And turn 4, it is a 4+. You bet they are. Alright, well they're both kind of equidistant, so whatever, we'll roll for 1, 6. That's going to move to 6 towards the closest character. I'll have to measure that out because it's either Max or Ranger Sandy, and then the other one, that's the same result, isn't it? Yeah, so I'll work that out and then we'll go cover what the killer is doing. So I did make a slight mistake because no one can see the killer, so it's going to disappear and basically re-emerge like roughly there, because that's the most characters it can get within 6 in the open, although it's going to be a bit further back, like there-ish. And out of those 2, Alice still has the most terror, so it's going to move dice roll +2. That's it. Okay, 11. Definitely making it into base to base, so it's going to do both its attacks. Starting with its swipe, which I've forgotten the skill check of. I believe it was 15. Let's see if it matters. That's a 12. It does matter. It was combat 14. Yep, so it does hit for 1 injury, 1 terror, and also bleed again. My old friend. And then it moves away with its disjointed movement. But she didn't see it move because it was in her back arc / side arc. But she's bleeding again, so that's great. That's definitely a good thing. Okay, well, we can solve that, I think. But no one's going to watch the killer again. We can handle this now. If she only moves once, she isn't at risk of tripping. So as a quick action, she'll move adjacent to Max, not facing the killer. She takes 1 damage from bleed, so she's up to 4. And then she'll encourage him, just in case it matters. Yeah, and then I don't think she'll do anything for her other action. Well, she can do a long action, take a breath. That's what she can do. Let's read what that does. The character may remove 1 terror or 2 injuries. She'll remove 2 injuries, because then, well, she's about to get cured of it though. No, she'll remove 2 terror. I think that's actually more important with what this killer does. Then we can activate Max. And he can do a, let me take a look at this. But, oh wait, no, that's a long action though, so you should do it second. Oh no, it is a quick action. So he'll say, let me take a look at this, heal 2 wounds on her, remove her bleed. For his other quick action, he'll run 4 straight at the 2 fright markers, incidentally, because they did move towards him. And then he'll use Baby Blues to make Alice follow him. They're going to end up getting back there before the other 2 have even managed to pick up their things. Alright, Ranger Sandy and Holden are both going to do a concentrate action for their first quick action, which gives them +3 to their next skill check, meaning it negates the -2 to be a +1 essentially. So that puts Holden at 9, not great, and Sandy at 12. So we're doing Sandy's 12. She did it. So she removes 1 terror, she picks up the dealie, and then Holden, needing a 9, I'm not going to move the camera because he's all the way up there. That rolled behind the tree, but it was a 20, so he is still stuck there for another turn. He's going to be the problem. I guess I could send Max to help him if Alice makes it back to the pond successfully. No, I'm not sure. Into turn 5. Yet another fright token spawns from the pond. Apologies for those spare damage markers being in the way there, or being visible. It's almost like I know I'll need them or something. So I believe it's a 3+ now. That's a 10, so they are activating. The one furthest from anyone is the one that just spawned. A 4 is move 6 towards closest. That would be Alice and Max, because they're the ones who've been doing the most work, and that's despite being harassed by the killer constantly. Next one, that's also going to move towards them. That's going to be basically base to base. And then the other one, a 3. That's disappear. That's not so bad. But that does mean they're going to be getting 1 terror as soon as they start their turn, because it's in base to base with them. The other one is 4 inches out, so that's okay. Before we do anything else, oh wait, no, it's the killer phase first, of course. I was going to say we'll just roll for Holden now. No, we won't. Well, the killer needed to be replaced because of its MO, because no one could see it, so I've already done that. 6 inches out of Max and Alice. It's just hounding them. Probably going to get into base to base as well. Let's see. Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't even need the bonus. Max is slightly closer. So in she goes. Oh, is she going to make him bleed now? Let's see. Oh, no, I think. Wasn't it 14? Yeah. Okay, the first attack actually missed. And then it scuttles away or fades away and comes right back over there. Got very lucky there. We're now into the player phase. I'm just going to immediately roll for Holden. So again, he inspires, and it's a net positive of +1. So he needs a 9 or less. He has a luck token, right? He has 2 luck tokens. I'm going to use one. A 1. He did it. So that means he loses 1 terror, which he didn't have because he's very brave. And he has the final dealie. So they just need to safely all get back to the pond and we can actually win this. But he can't do anything else this turn because that's a long action. So he's stuck behind the mansion still. We're going to start down here with Ranger Sandy, who probably doesn't even know there's a killer ghost on the loose. She's going to double move. She has no terror, so she has no fear of falling. So that's just 8 inches back towards the well. Now I'm sticking close to the big tree there, so I'm going to have to jump scare. But that should hopefully be okay. Although honestly, if the ghost went after her, the killer went after her, that's not so bad. It would let Alice and Max get home safely. Jump scare table, D10. A 4. Flip all light tokens within 12. There is no light. There is only dark. So no matter which way you slice it, Alice and Max are going to get 1 terror. So I've already added that to their cards. I'm going to go with Max first. And he is going to double move. So the 4 he moves first is safe. Then we have to do a trip check. He's only got the 2 terror. Oh, he actually did trip. So he's moving 4 normally. There, which you can't see because, oh no, you can sort of see, but he has fallen over right next to a fright token. He's fallen and he can't get up. I presume I'm not allowed to use baby blues when he's on the floor. So Alice is just going to move twice of her own volition, and she also has to do a trip check. What's the chances of rolling 2 2s or 1s? Close. So she's fine. She's good. That puts her in base to base with the pond, or practically in the pond. But everybody needs to be there with the ritual components. I presume because she's touched it, the one she's carrying can go in, and then she's basically, it doesn't matter what happens to her now, she's done her job, although I guess we want the most characters as possible to survive. Holden's picked up this thing in his turn, so he's done. Max is on the floor, into turn 6. Now we're going to get into some kind of semantics argument about whether or not Max can see the killer when he's on the floor. Which way are they considered to be facing when they're on the floor? That's a little bit of an odd one. I'm just going to say she's going after him because she's going to reach him regardless, because she's just going to spawn like there 6 inches away otherwise. But either way, a new token does need to appear from the pond right there. And I don't know, do they activate automatically now or is that next turn? Turn 6, always activate. The one furthest from a character is to the right that you just can't see off camera. That's a 10, it's here. The killer's already conjured. Check to see if it's stalking or enraged. I don't know. Where would that be? It's not stalking, so I presume it's enraged. I don't see anything that says on its card that it's stalking. Although actually it feels like a stalking killer, which I think means it disappears. You know what, let's just keep rolling for the other 2. It's fine. That is a 2 for the next closest, which is remove it, and then the other one, which is the new one, oh, these both go away. So if the other one was to become the killer anyway, she's going to reach him. If we turn just ever so slightly, let's roll for killer movement. It's 5, plus his terror, which is 6, 7. Yeah, that's good enough to get in it. I'm pretty sure, but let's just measure. Yeah, it is. Well, actually, technically not. But she's still going to follow him. Like that. And I'm going to say that Max saw it move, so it's 1 terror regardless. Putting him up to 3. Beyond that though, I think we're good to just... Well, Alice isn't really doing anything now. Oh, she would have had +2 movement because he's on the ground. So he would have definitely been reached. So let's see if she stabs him. No, because it's 14. Okay, fair enough then. Max is doing well. The only turns that matter is Holden and Ranger Sandy, really, because they're the ones holding the thing. Ranger Sandy is just out of sight, just down here. She's not got any terror. No, sorry, now she has 1 terror, so don't roll a 1. Fine. She's going to move 8 inches, get into base to base with the pond, and discard her token, her ritual item, in there. Holden's going to double move and then use his ability to cancel the jump scare from the tree that he had to pass on the way in. I'll have to do that off camera because it's up to your top left there. But Max, I guess he'll stand up and stumble away, but then he's going to face the killer. Actually, you know what? He might as well take a swing at the killer. Why not? He'll stand up and take a swing. He's just going to buy them time. What is his combat skill? It's pretty good, I think. 10. He hit it. Didn't get a crit. How much does he do with a baseball bat? Oops, has accidentally sent his tokens everywhere. 3. If the killer has any injuries, it would knock it back 2. Nope. So he did 3 damage to the killer, which only has 8 health, although it never truly gets driven off, but that's still pretty good. And if you look to your top left, you can see where Holden has ended up. I think he's going to need another turn beyond the next one to make it there, though. So the other 3 are just going to have to keep the Disjointed Killer at bay. Somebody order a brand new fright token and it automatically activates. The one furthest from anyone is to the right of the killer. That is a disappears and would flip light tokens, but there isn't any. And then the last token that just emerged from the well is a 4. Moves 6 towards the closest character. It's in base to base with poor Alice. That's fine. The only turn that matters is Holden's. He can once again cancel a jump scare on his turn, so he doesn't need to roll for anything, even his got, and he has no terror. So he can literally just go like that. Yeah, not enough. He needs one more turn and then he can make it. As long as... Oh, sorry, the killer has to go first. What am I doing? Once again, forgot the killer. Max immediately is getting terror because it's going to see her move, but does he smack her first? Does she smack him? You better believe it does, and not only that, it did a crit. I need to check how much damage that does. Oof, alright, for a crit, you double the injuries and terror. So Max got 2 wounds and 2 terror there from that attack. It then scuttles off 3 inches, like that, and that in the turn also gives him 1 terror, because anytime anyone sees it move, you get terror. So that puts him at terror 6, so he would no longer be able to do normal skill checks. He'd have a -2 or -4, I think, because isn't it 2 per 1 you're over your terror limit? And if he gets any more scared, he's going to die, which might happen on the next turn. So now it is my turn. We've already done Holden's move. Ranger Sandy, I mean, she's going to generate 1 terror for being next to that fright token. So is Alice. Alice will inspire Ranger Sandy, and Ranger Sandy is going to try and come over here and shoot the killer with her pistol, which is a skill check of, she is combat 15. She's really good because she's got a gun. And she got him. How much does the pistol do? 2 more injuries. Okay, that's pretty good. Not enough to drive it off. Not that that makes much difference, but hey, the killer is killable. Alice activating, generating 1 terror. Unactivating, as I say, she buffed that skill check anyway. Max the abs though. He's just staring down the killer. I have to have them look at it, otherwise she'll move. Yeah, you know what? He'll take a breath to heal 2 terror to try and keep himself alive, although I still think he's going to die in the next turn, which we're going to go to now, and I am going to win because Holden's going to make it next turn, but the killer gets to go first, so it's whether or not poor Max has to take one for the team. So I think this angle does well enough. New fright token, and we're just going to stick with it. They automatically activate. That's a 9, so that would enrage the killer again. It's already enraged, and that's a 10. It would already enrage the killer. Excellent. The killer is activating. Poor Max. Poor Max. That's a 1, but because he's so scared, it doesn't matter. It's definitely getting in. In the act of it moving, he sees it move. So does Ranger Sandy, so they get 1 terror each. He's up to 5. It strikes at him. Is that a crit? No, it's a 7. Okay, thank goodness. Has 1 more wound and 1 more terror. It then scuttles away again, and both of them generate 1 more terror, which puts him at 2, 4, 6, and Ranger Sandy at 3. He lived. Then it's my turn. Holden ignores what's going on over there, goes into base to base, throws in the 3rd and final ritual item, and the Disjointed Killer erupts into ghostly flames and gets taken away. At which point, the gang says, "Well done. Sorry about almost dying of fright or whatever. Let's skedaddle into the car and never come back here ever again." So that is it for the final scenario in the rulebook for Don't Look Back. I apologise for anything I do get wrong or forget as playing. Don't play the game very often, so the rules don't stick very well. Even with the rulebook handy, it's still a little confusing sometimes. But the important part is that it's fun. Of the scenarios in the rulebook, I think we lost 2 of them out of the 5, which isn't too shabby. But the nice part is, obviously, you can replay them with different characters. You can do a randomized killer as opposed to the thematic one offered. And there's a bunch of killer types given in the core box that are never used if you use just the killers that they expect you to use, if you don't use a random one. So we can do that, but also there's a bunch of expansions for the game. If you saw the original unboxing of this, you'll know I showed off what an expansion box with a new killer looks like for this. I've picked up a few more since then, and I'm looking forward to trying them. So we will see more Don't Look Back. Few and far between, but we will see more in the future. And I'm looking forward to trying out the Gourd Reaper in particular, and what's it called? Sideshow Slaughter. That's the other one with Pennywise, essentially. Looking forward to that. So hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the future for some more horror themed miniature games. Until then, ta-ta for now.